Welcome to Tell Me How Good It Got. Stories of women who defied the rules and ditched the script for what life's supposed to look and came out healthier, happier, hotter, and more themselves. I'm thrilled to introduce you today to Amari Lee. Amari is an accredited sex and relationship educator, clinical sexologist, certified sex coach, certified conscious kink educator. And because she likes to keep things spicy and organized, she also runs a sex positive virtual assistant and social media agency. A few fun things to know about Amari. She has completed a Rubik's Cube in 26 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is impressive. She's a big Taylor Swift fan. Oh, there it is. She's a big Taylor Swift fan, and she's based in the UK. She has PCOS. I relate to that girl. She's dyslexic, and she has been sober for 3 years. Oh, cheers to that.
Thanks. Cheers.
We'll do the proper cheers afterwards, but yeah. Amazing. Okay, well, I'm just so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this chat. I've never actually been on a podcast to talk about this before, and I'm obsessed.
Yay! Oh, me too. When I saw you and your work, like I was telling you, I was like, oh my God, I need to have her on. She's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So glad you're here, Amari. And well, like I said, just spill the tea. Tell me all about it. I know the reason I reached out to you, I saw a post by you about like attending a solo sex
Yes.
party. And I was like, wow, that blows my mind. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because, for most of us, that's a very edgy thing to do in general,
Yes.
let alone by yourself.
Yes.
So, yeah, just
Yeah.
tell
So,
me
I mean, I
about
guess
it.
I'll kind of start of like the first time and sort of what made me come to that decision. So, um, for context, I'm 27 now, and when I was 18, I had a friend who basically immediately started going to play parties, and she was like, "Oh, like for the wrong reasons, bless her," but like she was like, "Yeah, like you should come," and I was like, "No, like I hadn't had sex at that point, so I was still a virgin," and I was like, "I'm not like no, why would I do that?" So I'd always heard of them from quite a young age, but obviously just didn't think anything of it. Anyway, and fast forward like 7 or 8 years, I obviously started working in the sexual wellness industry, doing like admin and social media for clients. And then one of my clients like regularly attends them. She's kind of like a sex influencer, and she was doing a talk at a play party, like maybe like a half an hour train journey for like a 20-minute walk away. And she basically said, "Oh, do you want a free ticket and you can come?" And I was kind of like, like, I don't know. And then I just thought, you know what? Like, just go, like, just see what it's like. And my client actually ended up falling really ill, so didn't end up going. But I had mentioned to one of my friends from school, I was like, listen, I kind of want someone to go with, because I've been before. But anyway, him and his partner at the time didn't come until, so I arrived at like 3 p.m. and they didn't end up coming until like 8, 9. So I was basically by myself for like the 6 hours. Um, and
Wait, this was a day play
yeah. I
party.
don't go to nighttime
Huh.
ones. I'm not.
Oh, okay, that's cool to
Yeah.
begin
I'm
with.
not traveling by myself across London at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
There are loads of nighttime ones. There are
Yeah.
loads, but that's not
I didn't even know
me.
that.
Yeah, I always do daytime ones. I'm like, yeah, I want to be home by 9 when it's bright outside.
I love that.
So
That's so me.
yeah, so like this one kind of went on from like 3 p.m. till like midnight. And then people obviously just like come. It's quite a big venue. Like imagine what you'd imagine like clubbing to look like, except everyone's kind of
Hmm.
like dressed up, like yeah, half naked, lingerie, whatever their attire is. Um, so they didn't end up coming until later. I was kind of like it was fine, and I was like really mesmerized. Like I loved the idea of everyone being in lingerie, and like I'm very like body positive, and like I've always loved being in a bikini and stuff like that. So it was really that part of it was really nice, and like people were nice and stuff like that. Um, yeah, my friend and his partner arrived, and we were just like chatting for a bit, and then I left, and I sort of got home, and I was like, yeah, like it was cool, but I don't know whether it's like something that I would carry on going to, but like it was really interesting. And then I basically end up going to a second one. It sounds ridiculous. I actually went out of spite because the friend that was at the first one, we ended up falling out and we were meant to go to another one together. So for some reason in my head, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to this one by myself without him, and even though he doesn't know this, like, it's gonna be to spite him and da da da." So I actually went out of, like, anger because 'cause I'd fallen out with my friend, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but it makes sense in my head. And then, yeah, I went to that second one, ended up meeting someone, and ended up going into the playroom. So playroom is basically code for sex room, essentially, and then play party is sex party, but we use them, like, interchangeably. And I just had a great time, and I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, all these years, like, I thought not there was something wrong with me, but I was like, basically, I just realized I was just kinky, and that was it. And then, yeah, from there, I just kind of started going to, like, other ones. So because I'm really funny about, like, location and timings of events, that does limit me to the amount of events that, like, I feel comfortable going to. And then, yeah, I just started going to others, and, like, I've always a big believer in, like, doing things yourself, no matter what that is, whether that's, like, I don't know, if I want a Nando's and no one's gonna come with me, I'm gonna go to the restaurant and still get my Nando's type of thing.
regardless.
I
Yeah.
did 5 weeks in Australia, for 4 of those weeks I was by myself. So I think it's really important, I went to see One Direction live by myself when I was younger. Um, so I'm a really big believer in just do it, like, if you wait around, you're gonna miss out on so many things in life. And that's kind of what I applied to, like, yeah, play parties or kink events or whatever it was. I was like, well, I'm not gonna wait around for people. Yeah.
Huh. I love that
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm like you in the sense that I've always been like that. Like, if there's something I want to go to that I really want to go to, I won't let it stop me if, there's nobody around that I can go with. And I've been to parties by myself. I love eating out by myself. I like just, the movies,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yes, it is a mega yay. But then I saw your post and I was like, oh my God, it had never crossed my
Yeah.
mind to go to a play party just by myself. So I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really expanding my horizons.
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
and I want to hear more about it. So I love how you applied it, the same principle to sex parties.
Thanks. Yeah, it's, yeah, I'm still surprised to this day I do it, but here we are.
But here we are. And is there something that first night, or rather the second night that you were telling me about, the one where you really enjoyed it, that you're like really proud of, or that was particularly fun, or that you think that experience taught you by itself, like that you
Um,
maybe wouldn't have learned any
that
other way?
that experience for me, like, personally and, like, sexually was like a penny drop in moment where I was just like, "Oh, like, this explains so much." Like, obviously, it was the first time, having sex in front of other people, seeing other people have sex, being in that environment, doing any sort of kink stuff. Like, it was, yeah, it felt like everything just kind of, like, slot into place, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That explains," like, it was penny dropping. So, like, the whole thing, it just really, my whole view on, like, sex, kink, consent, everything, it was just like, yeah, it was great. So yeah, I would say it was kind of life-changing to a degree, actually. And I think, yeah, I'm just so glad that I went again that second time just to give it another go, basically. Even if I was going, I guess, for
Yeah.
the wrong reasons. And yeah, and it's a really liberating environment. You do have to have some sort of confidence though to go to them, I must admit. Like, you can't just stand in the corner and hope for the best. And that's another thing that I'm really glad that I can do. I'm like, "Oh, okay, no, I can actually, like, go and say hi to people, be like, 'Oh, I love your outfit,' and, like, start a conversation and stuff like that." Because, yeah, I had someone ask me the other day, I was like, "Oh, but, like, do you have to be really confident to go?" And I'm like, "Not really confident, but you definitely need to have some sort of confidence." Like, if you just go and you just stand there, you're not speaking to anyone, you're really shy, you're really awkward when people talk to you,
Yeah.
like, you're not gonna, like, everyone tends to be
Enjoy
really
it.
nice, but, like, you're not gonna get anything out of it, you're not particularly gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so I think, like, you do have to have some kind of confidence. Like, when people are like, "Oh, everyone's so friendly, like, just go." I'm like, "Yeah, but, like, you need to make that effort though. Like, you can't just rely on other people being friendly," kind of thing. That's my personal opinion, though. I know other people who are just like, "No, just go. Everyone will speak to you." So each their own.
So interesting. I love it when you say the liberating part because what comes to me is the first time I ever was naked on a beach
Yeah.
and it felt like, oh, wow, this is such a liberating experience. And I wonder, because you did mention this about how kink, maybe how you even didn't think of yourself maybe as a kinky or a naughty person. How do you see kink differently now versus how you saw it before?
It's a really good question. So I was always kind of like aware of certain things that were going on. Like I was on Tumblr at a very young age before there was censorship. So I was always seeing like a lot of stuff on Tumblr that I was like, oh yeah, like that's interesting. So I always had a kind of like knowledge of it. And I think I always knew there was something that was missing from from the sex life and stuff like that. So I kind of always knew that, but I wasn't exactly sure like what that was exactly. Like I knew that I liked sort of like roughness or like being hit and stuff like that, but I didn't really like I don't know what it was that I was looking for, I guess, basically. So yeah, one, I've just learned so much. Like every time you think you know something, you don't. There's so much out there, so many different kinks, fetishes, everything. It's crazy. Um, and overall, like it really, like I understood consent beforehand, but now I'm even more like, wow, like I just feel like I have such a deeper understanding of it than I did beforehand. So yeah, it's a whole new world. Like some of the things that yeah I've seen, I've done are just like yeah, wow, like what a world we live in.
What a world
Yeah,
we
what a
live in.
world.
And that brings me to my next cue, which is because I know you do a lot of things. I
Mhm.
mean, you're a sexologist, you're a coach, you're a kink educator, and you also run your own BA agency,
Yes.
right? Is this something like all of it, or maybe parts of it? Like, what would 16-year-old Amari think of all of
Oh,
this? How would she
she'd think
feel?
I'm so cool. I actually say it all the time to my friends. I was like, oh my God, if I went back and like 16-year-old me saw what I was doing now, she would honestly think, wow,
Yeah.
like this girl is the coolest person I've ever met. Yeah, I just think everything happened like kind of really quickly actually in terms of like the business and the qualifications and stuff like that. But I look back and I'm like, oh no, like this was always such an interest. Like from like I mean, so I did sex education. I was in year 5 and year 6, so that's like 10 to like 9 to 11 that we did sex education. And like I always found it interesting, but like I wasn't really like crazy interested in it. And then as I got older, like secondary school, like 12, 13, 14, I was just fascinated by the topic. I just found the whole thing so interesting. I always did. And then when I got to university, I studied sociology. And every like topic I could pick was about sex, gender, sexuality, sex work, porn, gendered violence, sexual violence, like all within that kind of like remit. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And I volunteered at 3 different charities. One was a like it was like the largest women's centre in the UK. I don't know if it's still that. And I also worked at a sex workers charity and worked at a domestic violence and sexual violence charity. I say worked, volunteered. And I just did random bits and bobs. Like I wanted to go into policy originally. So I like shadowed the policy officer. I helped with like events, did some admin, some socials. So that was the route I was going to go down the sort of charity route. And I think it was going to be more around like women's health and women's rights. But while I was at university, I to get paid, obviously volunteer work doesn't pay. I was working at a nursery. And then when I graduated during COVID and nursery stayed open, so I graduated in the middle of pandemic into a full-time job working at a nursery. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I loved it. Like I loved being a key worker. I loved working through COVID. I loved the job. Like I just felt like so like lucky. And then from there, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I want to go into childcare. I want to be a teacher. And I did my teacher training. And that was like the worst year of my life. I was working like 70 hours for free. I ended up getting really ill, like physically and emotionally. I was signed off work for 4 months. And I actually just couldn't work with kids anymore. And then I was like, oh my God, like I've been working with kids for I think like 7 years at that point, 6 or 7 years. And I was like, what am I gonna do with my life now? Like this is ridiculous. And then I remembered all the stuff I did at uni and I thought, okay, you know what? Like let me just email some charities with my CV and just saying what I do and see what they come back with. And as I'm doing the research for charities, I see that you can teach sex education in schools. And and just like that would be your only class that you teach basically in like primary and secondary schools. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like I've always loved teaching PSHE and RSE at primary schools. So this would be great to be able to just teach sex and relationship education in schools. It's perfect. So I went ahead and got my qualification, which makes me an accredited sex and relationship educator. And I did that course. And then, yeah, I started getting a couple of interviews and a couple of job offers to work in schools. And I just realized I couldn't go back into a school environment. I literally was like, I cannot think of anything worse. I cannot be in a school. I cannot be in a classroom. And I was like, oh my God, like if I just wasted, it was like £500 for this course. And I was like, have I just wasted this course because I'm not going back into education? I physically cannot do it. And at that point, like I had to get 2 injections in my foot as well, and I hadn't had those injections yet. So I think physically as well, I was still like not with it. Um, so then yeah, I was still emailing other charities and stuff like that. And then a reproductive justice charity came back to me and were like, we're looking for a virtual assistant. It's 10 hours a month, but you need to register self-employed. And I was like, okay, just a little bit of money on the side. I'd managed to land a remote job doing like admin and social media for a forest school nursery. And then, yeah, I set up a self-employed, set up my social media accounts, and I never wanted to run my own business. I had no interest in that whatsoever. And then, yeah, ended up getting like another client, which was a sex ed charity. And then just kind of slowly got like more and more clients. My job at the nursery doing the admin, it was on a 0-hour contract. So that like slowly was coming to an end. And then while I was looking for a full-time job, I was still getting a bit of clients on the side just to like, have a bit of money. Then it just accidentally became my full-time job. I rebranded myself as a sex positive virtual assistant. And then I basically was fully booked for a really long time. And then from like a year ago now, opened as an agency and brought people onto my team. And now it's me and like a team of like 16, 17 of us, which is crazy. Um, And then during that time, so before I turned into an agency, I wasn't too sure what I wanted my next step to be because I was like, I don't want to be a virtual assistant coach. I don't want to be a VA mentor. I was like, I don't know how to make more money, basically, to move that one step up. When you work a
Mm.
full-time job, there's a clear progression of what the next jobs above you are. But being freelance, there's not. You kind of have to create that or hope another opportunity comes along. um, I was umming and ahhing, and then I was like, actually, you know what? Like, I've worked with a lot of coaches, educators. Like, I think if I want to expand the business, I want to go more in like the sex route rather than the virtual assistant and social media route. So that's when I decided to become a certified sex coach. But then, yeah, my VA business just kind of, yeah, blew up. So open into an agency, and now I have like both the businesses. I would like 80% of everything I do is to do with the VA agency, and then the 20% is just opportunities that come up with the coaching and education stuff um, that I take. And then, yeah, I did a conscious kink educator course recently. Just because I sort of wanted to put my money where my mouth was and just be like, I have this qualification, which is really exciting. And then yeah, that brings me here today. 3 years since I accidentally started my own business, and here we are.
Accidentally starting your own business,
Yeah,
and wow, that's quite the journey. But it sounds really like smooth. Like it all went about, like it had
it
to.
was. It was very. It was. It's crazy how much everything became. What's the word? Everything happened really quickly, but really like taking each next step. I didn't do anything until I wasn't ready, and like I learned very quickly. Like those first sort of like 6 months running the business, like full time, I learned very quickly like the way people are with money, how to do contracts, how to communicate with clients, like what I need to have in place to like protect myself, and just like all these other things. Um, so yeah, and obviously, like, I had to learn a lot, and I think I forget how much I had to learn because, like, I'm here now, but I remember, like, turning into an agency, I was terrified. I was like, "How am I meant to bring anyone onto my team? How am I meant to trust anyone with, like, my brand name?" But my team are absolutely incredible. Obviously, like, I picked the right people. The interview process and application stuff is, like, quite thorough. But yeah, everything really did like fall into place. And it's just like, I don't know, like in the next, like this time next year, I'm like, where's the business going to be? Because never in a million years, I think I would own like a full fledged agency in like under 3 years. Yeah.
Wow. And did choosing the sex path that you mentioned earlier, did that feel like easy?
Yes and no, because like realistically, as a coach and stuff like that, making money is hard. So it was kind of like I did it more for like one, I wanted knowledge for myself personally. And then two, I wanted that title. I was like, I want to be known as an expert. I want, to have opportunities that come with that. I never really did it for the coaching, to be honest. That was kind of more of like a side thing that I could do. Um, so it was a bit of a difficult decision because like the training for me to become a certified sex coach was like 5 grand. So it's a lot of money. Yeah, like I'm so glad that I did it and sort of just have that knowledge. And, during that time as I was training, I had my own coach as well who helped me with stuff. And that was just as I started going to play parties as well. So everything kind of like coincided like really nicely there. And like the coach I was working with was actually one of my social media clients. So we did like a barter deal where like she coached me and then I did like social media for free. So yeah, all kind of like intertwined into one. So yeah.
That's it sounds like the universe wants you exactly here, and
Yeah.
like you've just been following the
Yeah.
breadcrumbs, which is so it's incredible. And how do you feel different? Like, the person you were 3 years ago versus the person you are now? I mean, it all sounds very smooth, but I know it
Crazy.
could also be terrifying, like you said, at some point.
Yeah.
Is there something in you that feels healthier, happier, hotter?
100%
Just
in
more you?
every aspect. Like honestly, I think during so before I accidentally started the business, that year prior, I was so like physically unwell and so mentally unwell. And that was because of the teacher training. I was also broke as well because they don't pay for teacher training. So I was working like 70 hours for free. Luckily I still live at home. So I wasn't gonna be homeless, but like I was just like going to physiotherapy every week, going to regular therapy every week, going to the gynecologist, going to the joint doctor, going to eye specialists. Like I just had so many things that were wrong with me. And then the second I started working remote, I was like, oh, I was like, I'm never stepping foot into a school and office again. And it's just been amazing. Like my quality of life is so much better. I have time to like if I am ever ill, I have time to go to the doctors. I have time to book an appointment. I can do so many things that I couldn't do beforehand. I'm physically so much healthier, mentally so much healthier. I get to work with really cool people, go to really cool events. Like I think next no in a couple of weeks I'm getting paid to go on a live stream and talk about going to play parties solo. Like I'm just being interviewed and I'm going to be paid like 200 quid for it, and I'm like, what? Like what sort of life am I living? Like that's crazy. um so yeah, just like some of the opportunities that have come my way, it's just so cool. Like I'm just very very lucky, very blessed. Yeah, really living my best life.
Yay, girl. That's like getting paid for having
Yeah,
fun,
literally.
essentially. Wow. And I mean, all of this, it sounds like, because it's very intertwined, right? I feel it myself when you become a coach, and especially in the arena of like sex, dating, relationships, it's very much about your personal life as well as your
Yeah.
professional. And I bet you've had a lot of like moments that crack you open and that where you really maybe had to unlearn things or just how has that changed for you? Like, how do you view sexuality differently, or what
I've
have you had to unlearn?
You know what? I don't think I've had to unlearn anything in terms of like, I've always been very sex positive since I was honestly like 12, 13, 14. I always had a very like liberal and open attitude. Obviously, as a 13, 14-year
Yeah,
old, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now, but I'd always just
right.
been very much like, yeah, as long as everything's consensual, like do what you need to do. Like I always had that attitude. So I think the main thing is, I think my understanding of consent is much deeper in terms of like, I mean, I don't know, say for example, like if you were annoyed at someone for not having sex with you and you might like roll your eyes, like that kind of, not that it breaches consent a little bit, but that adds like pressure onto the other person kind of stuff. So like it's such a little thing there, but like when I was younger or like a teenager, I never would have like thought of it like that, of being like, oh yeah, but that's going to make them feel bad, and like that might then in turn like pressure them to do something because like XYZ. So yeah, that's been really interesting. But other than that, I've always just had a very like open and like liberal attitude. Like even when I was younger, like I was fascinated with sex work. I found it so interesting. So yeah, obviously I've learned more about sex, kink, fetishes, all of that. Uh, but there wasn't really too much unlearning. I guess it was more just like, no, yeah. So no, I don't think I had to unlearn anything really.
Wow, you're a lucky one. You're a very lucky
Yeah.
one, Amari.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get back to you if that changes. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is I mean, I wish a lot with the future generations and all the mini us we produce are, increasingly like that. That sounds like the dream,
Mm.
not having to unlearn that many things. That's I think
Yeah.
most of
I
us have
think in
to.
terms of unlearning, it was more just like starting my own business. It was that aspect that
Yeah.
I had to be like, "Oh, okay," because 'cause I've obviously always been in, like, not full-time jobs as such, obviously, when I was at uni and stuff like that, but I was always working for, like, a company or something. So that took a lot of unlearning, being like, "Oh, like, I can ask for payment up front? Like, yeah, of course." And then, like, so that part, there was unlearning. But in terms of, like,
Yeah.
yeah, the sex part, I think that was, yeah, pretty lucky.
And because I know, I mean, I've always been fascinated by sex myself as well. And I also remember when I was in my early 20s, so like, 10 years ago, being like, wow, there are these things that are called sex parties or play parties, and where these crazy things happen. And I guess my question is, how would you describe them to someone who's curious about them but has no
Mm.
idea? Um, and just when you say, okay, first go for that one.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, so, like, they all have completely different vibes. So as I kinda mentioned beforehand, I only go to day ones. I have no interest in going to one that's at night. I have no interest in traveling back home by myself the early hours of the morning. So the ones that I go to are going to be very different to the ones that end at like 4, 5 a.m., which are really clubbing based and like unsta music. Um, so I can explain like, so a lot of the ones that I go to is, imagine like a regular club, except maybe like one room's to club in. There's another playroom, which is for that stuff. And then there's like a bar or something else. So it is very much like, imagine going to a club, except there is, obviously everyone's dressed in like much nicer outfits in terms of like, maybe it's lingerie, latex, whatever it may be. And that's basically it. Like there's not another, like it's, yeah, that's it. Like I can't break it down anymore. Like it sounds like a really scary
Yeah.
thing, and there's also parties which are in like dungeon spaces. So that's, to some people they prefer it because it's much, much smaller, but for others they don't. So yeah, a BDSM dungeon is basically, it sounds more dramatic than it is. It's almost like a tiny flat and it has like BDSM equipment from whatever, spanking benches, paddles, all of that stuff. And then there's normally a bit outside of it, which is more like a like kitchen, front room area. And they're always really nice, like really done up, really pretty. A good vibe. So sometimes they do parties there and they're much smaller. They're normally like 30, 40 people max. Where some of the clubbing ones, so if you were to go, so I haven't been personally, but obviously I've been on the scene long enough to sort of know what they're like. That's literally like, imagine going to a rave and that's it. It's just unsa unsa, loud music, whatever. There's the room for playing in. Um, and there's just, yeah, loud music and everything like that. So it's, I know it sounds crazy. It's really not that different from your regular club night. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
No, I
the
agree.
exception is just outfits and the fact that there is
Yeah.
a room nearby. Like that's kind of it. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They are way less scary than what they sound like. I guess then my question would be, I mean, then for someone like me directly, I've never been to one by myself. Why would you recommend that? Or like
So
what are the perks there?
yeah, so I don't recommend it for everyone. You do definitely have to be a certain type of person to go. You do have to be very uh sort of, you do kind of have to be like a bit sexually liberated, quite open-minded. You have to know how to hold a conversation. Like if you're just gonna, again, like if someone says hi to you and you're like, oh my God, it's not gonna be the place for you. So I don't recommend it for everyone. That's my first tip. But in terms of going solo, it's just similar to the reasons why I do so many things by myself. You can just do what you want. Like one, it pushes you out of your comfort zone. It forces you to be confident. It forces you to be social. You have to kind of like make an effort. And it's just so nice that you can leave when you want, you can dress how you want, you can meet new people if that's your thing. Um, I found that it's easier to meet new people when I'm by myself than if I'm with a friend, because you almost have to, like, babysit the friend a little bit. Sometimes, but, like, so sometimes I find it easier because then,
Yeah.
like, I can just walk up to a group of people, be like, "Hi, I love your outfit," or, like, if I see someone that I recognize, be like, "Oh, hi." So, like, sometimes it can be a bit easier. Um, so, yeah, and I think it's so nice to do something like that by yourself. Obviously, like, please do your due diligence and, like, have a look at these parties beforehand. Like, obviously, there's no such thing as a safe party, but there's safer parties. If they got no followers on Instagram and no website, don't go. If it's not at a venue that is licensed in some shape or form, don't go. If they don't have a safeguarding procedure and policy in place, don't go. Like, I fear it's common sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anything can happen anywhere though. Like, you can go to a parties which have all of those in place. All
Yeah.
parties should have safeguarding monitors. So, if one doesn't, don't go. But again, like, all those things can still be in place and stuff can still happen. You still need to treat it like a regular night out. Don't let someone else buy you a drink. Have your drink covered. Don't give someone the keys to your house. Like, just like understand how you're gonna get home. If the train stopped running, do you have enough money for an Uber to get home? Like, you still need to apply all of those principles to it. Just because there's a safeguarding team around and people are generally way more aware of consent and nice and like nicer than like a regular club, just like you still need to make sure you're like locked in. Yeah.
Just like you're saying, like any other party,
Mhm.
like any other event, and things as simple as like you were saying, you don't feel comfortable going to a night one, then you go to a day
Yeah,
one. Easy peasy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just inspired me
Yay!
to go to one by myself, which would be entirely new. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And I will keep you posted on how that
Let me
goes.
know if you need any help in terms of finding one. I can't remember where you said you were based, but I'm sure I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Madrid. I'm based in Madrid, and it's a little bit, not
Okay.
as
There's stuff,
let's
but
say
yeah.
diverse than London in that sense.
I'll send
But
you
yeah,
I'll send you a social
w-
media account for you to look at that.
that's
Sure. Yeah,
great.
I'll DM you on Insta.
Amazing. What's your? I mean, when you talk about conscious king, how do you describe conscious king? Like the conscious
Yeah.
element of it. What
Yeah.
makes it conscious?
So I suppose like a conscious kink educator is just like generally someone who teaches about BDSM kink and like alternative sexual practices. But I guess the conscious comes into it as it's like a way more emphasis on awareness, ethics, than personal growth. And I guess like a more holistic approach, rather than just kind of like techniques of being like, this is how you do something, this is what you do. There's a more kind of like, this is how it's going to make you feel, the awareness in your body, like the ethics around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, if there's like a rich history of something, like shibari, for example, that's got a really rich history. I don't really know too much about it, but that's something that if you're going to practice it, it's kind of like you should really know about it. Especially when it's from like other cultures and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of where the conscious part, yeah, comes into it.
Bringing the body awareness, bringing
Yeah,
like
concern,
that more
everything.
somatic depth,
Yeah.
consent. Yeah, that makes sense. I really like that. It really resonates with me as a somatic practitioner.
I love it.
And what's your favorite part of your work, of everything you do?
Honestly, you'll be surprised. It's just working from home. That is honestly my number one thing that I love. Nothing to do with the industry, nothing to do with my businesses. It is, no, to be fair, like, yeah, working from home is my number one, without a doubt. Like everything, like working from
Yeah.
home is like up here, and all the other perks are like down here. So working from home and then like running my own business. So obviously I get to pick and choose who I want to work with and how, like, if someone isn't being very nice or we don't feel like we align, I can actually just be like, hi, I don't think we're a good fit, so goodbye. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
And then like the people we work with are so cool. Like I've worked for like kinky dating apps, sex toy companies, dominatrix, reproductive justice organizations, abortion charities, ed charities. Like, you name it, we've worked with them, and I think that's absolutely amazing to be able to support something that I'm, like, so passionate about and, like, just to make people's lives easier, so that's really cool. Mm, and then I think, like, it just sounds cool when I say it, and I really like when people ask me what I do for work, and it depends on who it is, obviously. I normally just say, "Oh, I run a social media agency," and just leave it at that. But then when I go in deeper, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah," and then, like, it's a sex positive one, so we work with, like, XYZ clients. Then I also have a second business. I'm a coach and educator. Like I'm a sex coach educator and kink educator. And people are just like, "Whoa, like that's really cool."
Yeah.
So that's yeah, that's nice. And also like even working like freelance and remote and stuff like that, I've actually managed to make friends through work that I would like consider my mates. Which I never thought I would do as a freelancer or being self-employed. Um, so yeah, working from home basically is the answer to your question.
I get it. I also love working from home. Also, don't see myself in any other
Yeah.
modality.
There's no going back once you do it, honestly. There's no
There's
going
no
back.
going
No going
back.
back at
No,
all.
they it kind of ruins it for life, or like improves it for life rather.
It really does.
Uh,
Really does.
and what is something that you think, like, if a woman is listening right now and she feels some resonance, with the idea of going to a solo play party or just exploring her sexuality further or being more in touch with her pleasure and her
Yeah.
body. What are the ways that, as a coach and your personal experience, that can happen when it all feels like a foreign ground?
So I think firstly, a lot of people jump to the fact that they need to have a partner to do all of these things, whether that is a like long-term relationship, a husband, or like or like a friends with benefits, whatever your relationship style is, and you don't like pretty much like if you were looking to like with pleasure, you can use sex toys with yourselves. You're looking at kink. There's actually so many kinky things you can try, like yourself. I'm actually making a post about this soon, so stay tuned. Can't remember what I said in the post, but stay tuned. Um,
Let's
so
see.
I think that's one thing. Like, just don't. Again, it's that waiting around. Don't wait around for another person. Like, you can do all of this stuff yourself, and that's really important. So I think that would be my
Yeah.
first thing. And I guess obviously it depends on what the person's kind of looking for in general. I'm a big fan of sex toys if they haven't tried it before. And like doing your own research and actually like educating yourself on like the anatomy of a vulva and a vagina or like of a penis or whatever it may be, and actually like understanding that the education we didn't get. I think that's a really good place to start. That's a lot of coaching is really education of being like, oh well, this is how this works. So maybe if you tried this, da da da. So I'll say that. And in terms of going to a play party, do it. Obviously, again, like just be safe. Really, just like where you go anywhere else, if you go on holiday or whatever, you do your research, you check where to go, you check how to get there, all of that stuff. Yeah, like do it once. You don't like it, no harm done, kind of thing. I think people, I know a lot of people who just are putting off life just because they can't go with someone or do things. And yeah, you just hashtag just do it. Hopefully Nike don't sue me for that.
Yeah, I guess it would be like, because I feel a lot of women would struggle with feeling that, that sense of perhaps safety in themselves and and on top of that, that confidence to actually do something like that or
It
start even
is.
just a small,
It is
so
scary because
yeah, do you have any tips for that?
yeah,
Especially because you
so
mentioned
the thing is like
consciousness
you
and
don't need to so for me, obviously it was quite different because like I knew that my client was gonna be there, even though in the end she wasn't there and my friend didn't come for another 7 hours. So it was a bit different for me. Like I
yeah.
didn't really intend on going by myself. Like I was thinking that I was gonna see people there.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I always recommend if you can find someone to go for your first time, do like definitely do that. In terms of safety and stuff, like I'm a really paranoid person actually, but I feel safer at play parties than I do just going to the pub or going to a bar because there's so many as long as you go to one that's legit, there's so many rules in place. There's a whole safeguarding team. People get kicked out if they're too drunk. People get kicked out if they're doing drugs. Like it's such a safe it's such a safer environment than any other, like, club or pub or bar or whatever that is. So that would be my one thing there if you're feeling, like, unsafe. It's like, I don't know, I've just always felt so.
It's the
Yeah, I've
safest.
always felt the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, always, I'm more paranoid traveling to and from than I am actually being there.
Mm.
Um, but there, and again, like, literally the same safety precautions apply as I was mentioning
Mhm.
beforehand, make sure you know how you're getting home, share your location with someone, make sure you tell someone where you're going, what you're doing, what time you'll be back. Um,
Yeah.
just all of those things. And again, like with picking a party, obviously, like I said, just do the research. Do they have a website? Do they have safeguarding stuff in place? Do they have a large following? And then once you sort of get into the community, like you can join group chats, ask on forums. Like there's so many different means of like trying to work that out. So yeah.
That's a really helpful reframe.
Mm.
Thank you,
You're
Marty.
welcome.
And yeah, I think it's just because around, I mean, in this community, right? Like in the kink community and just in the sex positive, people are so into doing the work,
Yeah,
the inner work, that it's generally a more, well, it's a generally a safe environment. Of course, there are exceptions, but
absolutely. And I think as
in
well,
general,
if
yeah,
something happens that, I don't know, is scary or someone misbehaves or whatever, like you have a whole safeguarding team there who will be like, okay, we're gonna kick them out. We're gonna look into this. We're gonna, you know, work out what to do. Whereas like if that happens at a club, they don't care. Like that means nothing to them. They're like, well, it's just one person doing something. Like, what's that got to do with us, kind of thing. Whereas play parties very much have, many of them, not the dodgy ones, but they have a really high level of like ethics that they want to withhold. Like if something happens at their party, it's the party need to look into it to work out what happened. Whereas at a club or bar,
they don't
they're
care.
not, yeah, the people who come in are not their responsibility. Whereas at parties, the people that come in are their responsibilities. I think that's the best way, in my opinion anyway,
Yeah.
that I would describe it.
I find that fascinating because in so many ways, then it's, yeah, actually a safer environment for a woman to go out
I
alone
I believe
by
so.
herself.
Yeah, I believe so for sure. Yeah, obviously things happen everywhere. Sadly, that's life.
Mm, that true,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, touch wood, never had any kind of incident or like even someone like being weird or someone staring. Like people just like, oh, what about like creepy old men that are there? I'm like, yeah, there's old men there. I'm like, they're not creepy though. Like they're just chilling.
Uh,
Like it's very
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Obviously, people have different experiences, but yeah, that's mine.
That's really lovely.
Thanks.
I really like that. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I really love it when we take something that society sees as perhaps in some way dirty or shameful or bad
Mhm.
or, less than in some way. And it's actually so often, like in this case, quite the opposite.
Yeah, and it's so like one thing that I want to say as well, it's so much more common than you realize. Like
Like,
if
yeah,
you look
yeah.
at some of these social media accounts for parties, they've got like 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K followers. Like
Yeah,
people are so, like more people are going to them than you realize is basically what I learned very quickly. I was like, oh wow, like
right.
there's a proper community. Like it's just, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, ask your friend
And like
if they've ever been to one, and I'm sure one of them, well, maybe not, but one of them may say yes.
they, at least one of them will want to go
Yeah, or there's some kind of
if they
interest. Like,
haven't.
yeah, definitely my friends, like, I mean, to be fair, no, like majority of my friends are like, absolutely not. But I do have a couple who would be like, yeah, no, like I probably would be interested. Da, da, da. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so join me then. And then it gets to it and they're like, oh, I can't do this day or da, da, da. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So that's what's happening to me where like my friends are saying, oh yeah, like that could be interesting. And then I'm like sending them events, sending them dates, and they're like basically saying no to every single one. And then I was just like, "Okay, cool, like, I just need to go myself then." Like,
I'm gonna
clearly,
go.
yeah, I actually can't be
Yeah.
relying. And even now, sometimes people are like, "Oh, yeah, that would be interesting." And I'm just like, "All right, like, whatever, put your money where your mouth is then and let's go." Like, I'm not the one that you need to convince here. So, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I would like to say, I mean, there are a lot of, because they're increasingly common, and like you say, I feel there's a little bit, I mean, whatever you're looking for and whatever like your vibe is, you'll find it, right?
Yeah. no, definitely. Like I said, in terms of like, there's so many different types of play parties and loads that I haven't been to. So there's ones which are really niche. So there's ones which are sometimes like just for gay men. There's ones which send to people of color. There's also one for bigger bodied people. To be out there. There's sober ones. There is like more clubbing, unsa ones. There's more social ones. I'm trying to think what else. There's some that have like themes, whether that's dressing up as like whatever, like Valentine's Day theme, Greek goddess themes, Halloween. Like there's so many, like you can get theme parties. There's ones that are more leaning towards like swinger events. There's Flinter parties, which stands for, actually I can't remember. I think female, lesbian, intersex, non-binary, and I'm gonna go with androgynous, but I'm not 100% sure. So there is something for everyone. There's one that I go to, which is like, which I've been to once. I should say go to. That again like just centers like people of color, and we had like a carnival themed one where we all had like our flags. So like there is really a vibe to match what you're looking for, basically. Yeah.
Whatever you're into. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like in love and dating, right? Whatever
Yeah.
you're into, I mean, there's someone out there,
Yeah.
and actually not someone, there are many people out there
Multiple people
who
out
you can
there.
date. Exactly. Yeah. And I love that with the sex parties, the play parties is the same. A lot of fun to be had.
Yeah, no, it's whole new world, honestly. It's kind of crazy. It's like you step into it and like you're not in the same reality as you were beforehand. Like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And again, like in love and dating, I feel this is probably maybe one of the best environments and like settings to actually discover yourself, right?
Yeah.
What you like, how it feels in your body, what do you want more of, what do you desire.
Yeah, exactly that. It's also like nice to be around like-minded people as well, I think. Like, it's not that it's obviously not a competition of how kinky someone is, like, of course it's not, but it's like, it's always really funny when, like, my friends say, like, "Oh, yeah, like, I like my hair being pulled," and I'm like, "Okay." Like, that's not like, alright. So it's nice to kind of, I mean, to be fair, all my friends are very, like, they love hearing my stories, they're very open, whatever, but it's nice to be around people who, like, actually, like, get it, and who, like, you just learn so
Yeah.
much as well, and, like, I know even like little things like some people might be really funny about like STIs and stuff, but at these events it's like pretty standard to sort of be like, oh, when was the last time you had an STI check?
Mm,
Whereas like I
yeah.
don't, outside of that, I don't think I've ever asked someone that before. But yeah, big like consent and like health and safety culture, I would say.
What's one thing you would want a woman listening to this to walk away with?
Um, do not let life pass you by. If you are waiting for someone to do something and you've been waiting for a while, just go and do it yourself.
Very wise words. Thank you,
Thanks.
Amari.
You're welcome.
I Well, with that, is there anything else you would like to leave us with? Any other words of wisdom or fun,
No, I
playfulness?
think, life's meant to be fun. So make sure you're having fun.
Make sure you're having
Yeah.
it. Well, then I just would like to thank you. I have loved hearing your experience. You have inspired me as well, expanded my own edges and horizon in just this time that we've been together. And I just want to celebrate you
Thank you.
and toast to you. So, toast to, honestly, I love it that you haven't had to unlearn things, but you're helping others, I feel, along the way,
Yeah.
unlearn things. And just like expanding the fun and the playfulness and the consciousness around it. And just thank you for the work you're
Yeah.
doing.
Thank you.
And cheers to you. And I hope it keeps getting good.
Thank you. I'm sure it will. Click. Look at the
Cheers.
camera. Click. Just blocks it.
Click.
Click.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh,
And yeah, I'll know we'll keep getting good.
gorgeous. Thanks. Fingers crossed. I'm sure it will.
Mm. Thank you for listening to tell me how good it got. And stay close because yes, it really does get good.
Yes, it does.